Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give a quick update in regards to our potential severe weather. Well, I guess over the next couple days here, specifically about what we could be seeing for our day on Monday. But I'm going to go ahead and start for our day today. We have the potential for some just general thunderstorms later on this evening, mostly over the overnight hours will be our best chance. They're all expected to be non-severe, just some general run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. Even then, I still think we're lacking a good chunk of energy in terms of what we need for thunderstorms. So most likely just be some rain showers, but don't be surprised if you do wake up to a rumble of thunder tonight. Definitely not out of the question there. But as we head into our day tomorrow, we'll see those early morning showers and thunderstorms work their way out of here. We'll be fairly clear for a good chunk of the day before our next storm system is going to start working its way in from the west out of the Dakotas, out of Nebraska, and that's going to allow for some more showers and thunderstorms overnight, or at least late Sunday, and then possibly overnight into early Monday. That's going to be another chance of some severe weather. It's going to be a marginal 1 out of 5 risk for St. Cloud. What we're looking at in terms of what the severe weather will be, the best chance is going to be of just hail. That will be our biggest threat. I also won't be shocked to see couple stronger wind gusts out there, but the tornado threat looks to be almost minuscule with this. Not expecting a lot in terms of our day on Sunday. Things then turn to Monday, where it's going to be much more significant, much more impactful. We're looking already at a moderate risk of severe weather here, so this is going to be a 4 out of 5 here in terms of severe weather. And we can see by the colors where they're expecting the biggest overall threat. So that's going to be in that purplish, pinkish area with the hatched contours over it, which the hatched area basically just means that that's where the most significant severe weather there. In addition to having that moderate risk, that's where they're going to end up seeing that significant. So in terms of what the Storm Prediction Center, this is your moderate risk here, and then the red, orange is going to be enhanced. It does include St. Cloud. The moderate does include the Twin Cities metro area down towards Rochester, Mankato, and then into parts of Iowa, and then also in parts of Wisconsin. But it has, in the last update, it did reach out a little bit further out towards the St. Cloud area, moved a little farther to the northwest. I think it might even expand even farther to the northwest, just based off recent trends of what the models have been showing in terms of where the storms are kind of expected to start forming, which I'll show here in just a second. But in terms of what the Storm Prediction Center, at least for a date, for their outlooks, what they kind of go with. So they look at kind of this criteria. So I'm guessing what their moderate risk for is likely wind, because it's a 45% chance of significant wind here. So that would put it in a moderate. It most likely will not be a 45% chance of tornadoes. I think they might be up to a 15% or a 30% chance for tornadoes. But just due to the fact that they put that kind of risk, I'm guessing it's more of a wind and a hail risk. However, I do think that our tornado risk is going to be somewhere between this 10 to 15% by the time things are all said and done. Things look to be pretty potent in terms of what we're actually expecting here for severe weather over the next couple of days. So another reason why I think this system is going to be as potent and strong as it's going to be here, if I can get it to show up. There we go. So the reason why I think it's going to be this way is there's a forecaster at the Storm Prediction Center. His name is Chris Broyles. He is one of their most veteran forecasters. He specializes in tornado and tornado outbreaks, severe weather outbreaks in general. And one of his things he forecasted for is called the Omega Project, or the Broyles theory. So basically, it talks about the translation speed of your jet streak. So your jet streak is this area of stronger wind right here, and basically over 18 hours he calculates it out from where it goes to. So we'll start at 6Z on Monday morning. It's down in parts of around Texas-ish area into parts of New Mexico, and in 18 hours it's already the highest area of the jet stream or jet streak is over parts of Minnesota and parts of Iowa and Wisconsin. That makes it move around 1,000-ish hours or 1,000 miles in about 18 hours. That puts the translation speed, if you divide that out, right around 49 knots. So in his theory, he says tornado outbreaks are exceptionally likely when you have the speeds in excess of 40 knots. So obviously we have surpassed his bottom benchmark of our translational speed. So in terms of kind of what he's expecting, he's already proven his theory earlier this year when people weren't expecting a whole lot to happen, and we ended up getting a pretty significant tornado event down across the far parts of Alabama and Mississippi and Arkansas. And his theory could very well prove correctly. Again, our overall environment is very, very, very potent out there. I couldn't get the soundings to load or at least show up here for some reason, not sure why, but they are primed environments for severe weather, supercells, significant tornadoes. Just all the parameters are there. We're on the right exit region of this jet streak, gives us plenty of lift on the mid and lower parts of the storm. So it's just going to be a very potent setup with all the ingredients coming together. Dew points are going to be into those mid 60s, which is very, very rare in terms of what we get here for April. Temperatures could be into the upper 70s, low 80s. And speaking of rare, we haven't had a day 3 moderate risk in April since April, I believe it was April 10th of 2011. It's been a very, very long time, and just they're very uncommon to see moderate risks this far out. But given our overall surrounding environment, it's really not surprising the fact that they did. So another thing that I'm looking at here is going to be basically as we go through the day, there's not in terms of across our warm sector, which is basically this area across southern Minnesota, but where the warm front's going to be kind of lifting through during the day, and basically it's going to allow for things to warm up very substantially throughout the day. And in terms of like a lifting mechanism that could fire some discrete supercells during the afternoon hours is going to be, if you look closely across parts of southern Minnesota and Iowa, these small little kind of kinks in the jet stream, which basically are little short waves which have enough lift or spin and vorticity in the atmosphere to allow for these storms to kind of develop off this. So this is me one thing to look at carefully, because these are the type of small little atmospheric, I guess, reasons of why we could get some discrete supercells to fire across southern Minnesota and Iowa as we go through today. That would be one of the big reasons why that would happen. So this is from the HRRR here. This is the most recent model run. This is a 0Z. So in terms of what we got here, we'll see these scattered showers and even some thunderstorms for our overnight tonight. Those clear out for the most part early on in the morning. It will be a fairly sunny, well, fairly dry rest of our Sunday. And then it's not until late Sunday evening, like I said, early Monday morning, we get to start to see those showers and thunderstorms, potentially severe thunderstorms already that early in the morning. Those would be just kind of the general hailstorms. It's not very uncommon to see some brief severe weather along the warm front as it lifts up. It's actually fairly typical, and just because the warm fronts do give it a little bit of lift in the atmosphere. So we could see a couple severe storms as that lifts through our area, and then things kind of clear out here. And then as we head throughout the evening, that's when much of southern Minnesota, Iowa has basically been just baking in the sun all day. Plenty of moisture. The low-level jet or the winds near the surface are going to start really kicking up, allowing for just a bunch of conditions to be primed for severe weather. However, none of the models really show anything forming down here, which is a little interesting. I'm not totally sure why that is the case, but I'm sure there's probably a reason why they're not. But I think that is very possible that the fact that we have conditions like that and not a single storm forms, it just is a little off to me why none of these models are firing anything down there, because they were definitely showing something, at least a model or two was a little while ago, at least a couple hours in terms, well, a couple runs ago, which is about 6 to 12 hours. They showed maybe a few things down there, but they haven't shown anything yet. But we will see. This is going to be along our cold front here as storms are going to form, and they'll start to fire very quickly. I mean, we have a bunch of very, very strong veering winds. We got some that cold front boundary working across Minnesota, and just being in that right exit region, it's just going to be a perfect spot for just intense thunderstorm development throughout the afternoon, evening, and that thing will rumble right through St. Cloud, right around the 6, 7, maybe even early as 5 o'clock time period. and it's going to be very strong, especially with the environment. It could get very dangerous because even if we don't have discrete supercells, which would likely mean long track tornadoes, well, we're probably going to see some sort of, actually, not even probably, we will most likely see a bunch of embedded tornadoes in this line of storms. There's just way too much wind shear with this overall system not to see it. So that's when they can get really dangerous because these ones aren't as easy to pick out. Usually they happen very little warning and they're just very, very brief, but they can be fairly strong sometimes. So unfortunately, that looks like that'll be the case. And then this is as far as the model goes out, is for 7 o'clock on Monday evening. But just a line of strong storms. And some of the models that do go a little further even start showing up storms popping up across southern Minnesota near the Rochester area. So it's all just going to be very dependent on where we can get small boundaries if storms do form. But regardless, it's just going to be a very, very, very potent environment for storms. It's very likely that we'll see tornadoes. It's likely we'll see strong winds. Likely we'll see hail. It's just going to be a potentially very, very dangerous day. So make sure that you're staying safe. Have your plans prepared already. If you're going to be traveling throughout the evening, maybe leave work early. Obviously, we don't know the exact timing yet. It'll be narrowed down a little bit sooner as we get closer, but just please remain prepared for the system because it has all the writings of a very, very significant severe weather day, including a potential tornado outbreak. So hopefully that's not the case, but we have to just be ready for basically the worst of whatever could happen with this system. So I'll have more updates probably sometime tomorrow after I get off work in the afternoon. Should hopefully have a little better idea of the models in green. Right now, the ACRRR kind of agrees with the RFS, which are two kind of shorter range models. The NAM basically can get thrown out at this point. It is really not doing well. It's struggling with this overall system. It has dew points really only reaching into parts of Iowa, not even Minnesota. Basically, it's a huge outlier. All the kind of soundings and kinematics and dynamics with what it's showing don't make any sense with realistically what would be happening, especially by the surface low. So that model can basically get tossed out. I'm not necessarily negating it, the fact that it can't happen, but it's just looking very, very unlikely. So hopefully all the models kind of start getting to an agreement because they were in agreement with the overall track of the storm. Now they've dropped out of agreement with what's actually going to happen. So hopefully by tomorrow they have a much better idea. I will most likely be out there chasing somewhere, probably in southern Minnesota between, I don't know, Mankato, Owatonna, Rochester, maybe even down into Iowa. Who knows, maybe I find myself in Wisconsin, but hopefully you guys all stay safe. I will have more updates, so stay tuned. And if you, of course, any questions, feel free to reach out and I will do my very best to either explain them or answer the question for you. Have a good night, guys.